I think crop sensors are the way to go. I don't think you need full frame. And I genuinely mean that. If you're starting out, I don't think getting a full frame camera is a good idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Get the Shot, brought to you by Tamron Australia. My name is Joe Orchard and I am your host. I am here today with Werner Momberg. He is a Noosa-based travel and surf photography. I am sure you have seen his content on Instagram before. If you follow us on Tamron, we've collaborated with him a bunch. Really beautiful, rich, orange sunsets. Amazing, amazing guy. We've been chatting for a very long time on Instagram, and it's finally good to speak to you here on the call today. Werner, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I mean, I've been, like you say, collaborating with Tamron for so long and chatting back and forth about things, and now to finally be sort of in amongst you guys is really good, really nice. So thanks for having me.
One thing that I noticed is that you're an APS-C photographer. Is that correct? And you use a Fuji body?
That's correct, yeah.
What made you want to go down that direction?
That's a great question. I was actually having this chat with someone yesterday. So I picked up a camera in 2018, like I said, and that was in high school. And then high school things came along, exams, graduating, all that. So I didn't really bother too much about the camera sort of things. I learned the basics and I was really into it from grade 10 to grade 12, and then it sort of just disappeared in the background. As I went to university, I prioritized that. But sort of to the end of my university stint, you could say, I had that itch in the back of my mind. Like I was taking photos on my phone, doing the raw thing, editing them in Lightroom, and I'm like, I want something more. And then I didn't have the camera that I used to have, so I started watching YouTube and I got really, really into street photography. And the current street photography scene is just Fujifilm is, I think, really baked into that street photography scene. If you think street photography, one of the top brands you think of is Fujifilm. So I was watching creators like Faisal Westcott, Roman Fox, and they do all street photography stuff and they shoot Fujifilm back then when I was watching it. So then I'm like, I like this. I'm gonna have a look at getting a Fujifilm. So I didn't like the Canon alternative. I think the Canon M50 was out then and it just didn't really appeal to me. So I settled on a Fujifilm XS10 because that's the budget I had and it came with a good lens and I like the film simulations. Living in Sunshine Coast, living in Noosa, around there's not many streets to practice street photography on. So I sort of had to adapt, but I'd go to Brisbane and things like that, but I sort of had to adapt, and that's where the surf came in because I'd go to Noosa and I'd adapt the street photography mindset and, you know, shooting through trees, shooting through like sitting back and observing and capturing the surf that way. But coming back to it, I got into Fujifilm through watching creators and watching the street photography space, and a lot of them shot on APS-C because it's a smaller form factor, it's more discreet, things like that, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And since having the Fujifilm XS10, I upgraded to the XH2 because I wanted to do some more professional commercial work, and I found that the XS10 was a bit limiting. And I had all the lenses for the XS10, including the Tamron 70-70, which I love so much. It's such a good lens.
There we go, there's the plug. You heard that.
There's the plug, yep. I'm filming on it right now, actually, yeah.
Yes, that's what I love to hear.
Yep. So if you want to know the image quality, have a look at this. But yeah, I just didn't see a reason to go with full frame yet. I think maybe in the future, but for now, especially with Fujifilm XH2, it's 40 megapixel sensor. It can shoot 8K, not that I really do anyway, but it can. And I love cropping, and yeah, I'm just rambling on, but it's dummy good. I've got no reason to upgrade it. I've got lenses, so yeah, that's about it.
No, that's fine. It's really interesting because I mentioned this privately earlier with you, me being a videographer, it was always wider, bigger, more space, more everything. And so the concept that, you know, and it's a wonderful thing with agency and the amount of products that are just out there in the market. You can choose to shoot your way, or you can choose to shoot full frame, and both work. As long as you're shooting, that's sort of the vibe. And so it's interesting to learn your mindset and approach there. When looking at your page, surfing is the really, really big theme there. Did surfing come first or was photography first?
Photography was first. So I actually don't surf.
Really?
Can you believe it? Yeah, people see my photos and they're like, oh, you must surf, you must love surfing. No, I've gone surfing once, and the only time I've done it was with a friend, and I broke the fin on the board because I dropped it on the concrete. And I was like, that's me done. I'm not going to try this again. I'd rather take photos of the surfers. So yeah, I don't surf, but I love taking photos of surfers. But photography came first.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you think, because so your relationship then with the environment and your subject matter is really, really intimate, I must say. And it's interesting to hear that you don't surf. Do you think it's important that photographers have some type of relationship with the subject that they're shooting?
That's a great question. Yes and no. For me specifically, I don't think so. If you look at my work, a lot of it is silhouettes. And a really big thing that I've liked doing is removing the personality from my subjects from the photo, because a lot of surf photography is, you've cropped in and you're trying to document the surfer on the wave, because a lot of it, the pro surf photography stuff is trying to document, like I said, the surfer on the wave, and it's about the surfer and how the surfer is, what they're doing, what tricks they're doing and whatever not. But I've tried to remove that because Noosa is so beautiful, especially at sunset, that for me, it's more so just capturing the landscape, but I need a subject, and the subject is a surfer. So, and I just find that aspect of anonymity in the photos means it's applicable to anyone wherever you are. Like, there's no face there that you can recognize. It's just the silhouette there of the aesthetic surfer in this aesthetic environment. So in that regard, I don't think that intimate personality matters too much. But if you're doing something like wildlife photography or portrait photography where you're up close and doing that sort of close-up stuff, then yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's where the street photography mindset comes in, because I've been trying to focus more on silhouettes and abstract sort of stuff back when I first got started. Not so much now as I've grown, but yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Okay, when I scroll down your page as well, you've got photos where you're in the surf, some where you're on the lookout, some where you're on the beach. How do you just turn up to the beach and figure it out, or how much planning goes into a shoot?
Up until recently, absolutely no planning. Because the weather here in Noosa, especially now it's winter, it's supposed to be good weather. Today's looking like a good day, but it's been really rainy. So I just try and go to Noosa when I can, go to the beach when the weather is good and I think there's going to be a nice sunset, and then just walk and shoot and whatever I see. There's absolutely no planning to do with it. Up until recently, sometimes I know that, okay, I want to go to this location. I want to get some sort of shot here because I haven't done much here, or I know last time I was here, I got this cool shot, but I want to get this different angle. But I'd say now it's 20% planning, 80% just showing up and just shooting, because it's so circumstantial. Like, the waves can't always be good. There's not always going to be surfers. Not everyone is going to catch a wave. And that's a big struggle I've had, is learning beginner surfers that can't catch the wave, which in itself can make for a cool photo. But yeah, it's all just in the moment.
What is something that's challenging you at the moment with your surf photography? What are you trying to do, and what friction are you experiencing?
Great question. I've been shooting Noosa for 2.5 years now, and it's a beautiful location, and the sunsets there are awesome, the people are awesome, the scenery is just awesome. I can go on about Noosa forever, but you get to a point where, like, what's next? You know what I mean? Like, I've done so much there already, and at the start of it, when I was growing still, the big appeal for me was trying to see what new compositions I can come up with. But now I know all the spots. I know where's good and where's not. I know where the light falls this time of year, so it's sort of, there isn't much of a challenge there anymore for me. So for me, that's why I'm trying to broaden my horizons to, I haven't done it yet, but surf portrait photography. So getting models in so I can do a bit more planning and be a bit more intentional with some of the shots that I do, and also the travel stuff. Because yeah, you can only do so much in one location without it being just too repetitive, and I'm battling with that at the moment because I've been posting the photos and a lot of them look the same, and I know they're not, but they look very similar. So I just want to have fresh eyes and fresh content that I can put out there.
It's interesting that you describe your own content as similar. I would personally describe it as strong branding.
Okay.
Why is it important to you to sort of diversify your page and try new things?
Just to show that I'm a skillful photographer, to be honest, because another thing is if I take a surf photo there at Noosa, I know exactly how I want to edit it. I'm really good at knowing the tone curve, how I want to edit the color grading, all that sort of stuff. But it's sort of it's not a challenge anymore, if that makes sense. Like it's easy for me now, and I know what to do, but I want there to be a challenge, and I love learning. And love learning the whole photography process at the start was what appealed it to me, because there was always a challenge there. And not that there is not challenges still in surf photography and the stuff that I do, because I can always get better, but I'm at a point now where I'm confident that I can get the result that I'm after and that I'm envisioning. So I can brand out to portrait surf photography and have a bit more, posing models and things like that, which I don't have too much experience with. I've got experience, but I'd like to get more. And then the travel sort of stuff as well, travel/documentary, and just new environments, new landscapes, things like that. And I should start selling prints, I think, as well. I've sold a few, but I should start selling properly. That's another day.
It's interesting that you want to go into documentary and portraits, because you talked all about silhouettes and removing personality, and now you're looking in these new avenues to, I guess, introduce it. So what made you want to go into portraits?
I love that aesthetic, and I want to incorporate what I'm doing now with the portrait stuff. So still have elements of that anonymity and silhouettes, where it's a strong backlit subject where you can only see the silhouette with the surfboard. And instead of them not knowing I'm shooting them and being on a boardwalk somewhere, I'd rather have them be able to give me a good pose that I can direct them, and either carrying the board or standing like this way with the board or something. But then also, I don't think you can have that sort of portrait, like have a good set and gallery without having all aspects of the model, if that makes sense. I think it'll look very one-dimensional if it's all just backlit subjects for portrait photography. So, and it is a skill I'd like to learn, is to pose and things like that. So still keeping the elements of silhouettes and that I know and love and I'm good at, while also challenging myself. So I'm figuring it out still.
Of course. Oh, we all are. I'm still figuring stuff out. I can't pretend to sit here and act like I'm particularly special. I'm only 26. And travel and documentary. Are you wanting to travel to surf locations, or are you just wanting to get out of Noosa?
Just out of Noosa. I did sort of a half lap with my partner. We just went around the southern coast of Australia up to Perth in our car, and that was great. And that sort of tested my abilities and my range in travel photography, and where I shine, where I don't shine. But I wasn't too prepared for that in terms of archiving and things like that, like having SSDs. So a lot of that photos is just memories now, which is it's a shame. And in my iCloud, my iPhone somewhere. But I'd like to see new locations, because there's so much out there, and I want to travel. I just love the idea of traveling, especially to new countries and seeing new communities, seeing new faces, seeing new cultures, things like that, building architecture, all that stuff. It really, really appeals to me. So, and that's completely different to the surf photography stuff I'm doing now. The surf photography stuff I'm doing now is sort of, I'll say I fell into it. It's circumstantial, because I wanted to practice that street photography aesthetic, but I couldn't. So I just went to Noosa and started doing it there, and found out that I was sort of good at that and I can continue that. But in the back of my mind, it was always sort of, I'd like to do the travel photography. Whether that is also surf countries. Costa Rica, I think it's Costa Rica, has a really strong surf community there that looks incredible. So I'd love to shoot that one day. But also, I love mountains, and I love going hiking. Not that I do it much, but I love that hiking. Like I love the grandeur of mountains, so I'd like to capture that as well. So, yeah, I just want to take photos, man. At the end of the day.
Oh, that's awesome. What I recently saw this person just vlogging on a chairlift talking about mountains, and he said, these mountains didn't just pop up out of nowhere. They moved slowly over time across thousands of years, and they're still moving. And that is something that like I totally didn't think about or anything like that. I knew that first part, but the fact that like we're in this lucky pocket of time to see landscapes as they are.
That's a good point.
And then in time, they're also going to change. And I think being able to freeze time for that moment, there's something really powerful there. Are there any mountain locations in particular that you're interested in visiting or seeing?
Yeah, the Dolomites is a strong one. That's been on the top of my list for a long time. And also Monument Valley, or just all of like Midwest USA. So Arizona, Colorado, Zion National Park, all those things, Bryce Canyon, all those sort of stuff. Grand Canyon, Grand Teton. And I'm actually lucky enough that me and my partner are going on a road trip in September.
Wonderful.
To all those places. So keep an eye out for that, because I'm so excited because she's a beach girl and I love the beach, and obviously surf photography is my thing. But I love the grandeur of mountains and how they're just so, they make you feel so small and they're just so massive. And I feel like in Australia we don't have that many good, cool mountain ranges, at least not that I've been to. Because like Monument Valley and Grand Canyon is also, it's just so grand. I don't know how else to say it. And Grand Teton as well. I'm so excited for that alpine mountain aesthetic.
I had a friend who did Machu Picchu not too long ago, and he did the whole Incan Trail 4-day hike camping. And so I think the photos that he just took on his phone were spectacular. So I think you should add that to the list. Plus, not many Australians head to South America, so.
I know, there's just too many locations. Too many locations, too little time. I'd love to do it all.
Are there any street locations or street photography cities or towns that you want to suss out?
Being that I've watched street photography YouTubers in the past, like Faisal Westcott, he does a lot of his stuff, not anymore, but he did a lot of his stuff when I was learning in Boston, and it looked really cool. Boston, Massachusetts, and obviously New York. New York's like the capital of street photography, so I'd love to experience that one day. I did some street photography when I first got started, when I first got my Fujifilm in Melbourne, and that was great, and I loved that. Melbourne is a place that I'd go back to for that. Any American city, to be honest, like Boston, New York, LA. We're going to LA, so I can probably try and do it there. So, yeah, I'm trying to think.
I was just in New York actually, and
and how was it?
It was fantastic. It was when the Knicks were playing in the playoffs. I saw Game 3 and 4, which was just incredible.
That would have been electric.
Yeah, I didn't bring a camera with me, and this is going to sound sort of terrible, but like I really have found that if I'm taking photos or filming stuff, I don't find myself involved in the moment. And especially when this was my holiday and I wanted to, do my thing, I was like, I'm going to experience this. But I did have my Meta glasses with me. And especially after Game 4, for audiences that don't know, the New York Knicks were 29 points down at one point, and within the last 5 seconds scored the most incredible shot ever. And the whole city was just alive, and it was insane on so many levels. And I just wandered around filming the streets. There were people doing street talk. There was a robot that was wearing a Knicks jersey that I found that people were just hanging out near. It was...
I've seen some videos and it looked incredible.
I'm probably in the background of some of them, yeah.
Yeah, I'll look out for you now if I see more. It looked like it was so chaotic, but in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, going back to it, because you said before you didn't want to take a camera with you because you found that if you take a camera, you're not living in the moment and you're sort of focused. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. Especially when I was freelancing, and there was a lot of events that I would do. So if it was a cafe opening or some type of art gallery or something, and people would also like be friendly and be like, "Hey, what are you up to? Do you want to sit down with us? Do you want to have some food, whatever?" And I'm like, "I'm kind of on the job," and so I would be just enjoying things superficially and from a distance.
Yeah.
And so I really like connection. I really like story. I like learning why and how. And so I can create that in an edit, which is very awesome and amazing. But I need to be able to find balance of me being a part of it too, to some degree. And I know I'm not like the main character per se, but I guess, to put it simply, I just want to be included. And sometimes I feel like if I'm taking photos or video of something like that, I'm not quite there and I'm not quite immersed.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that I feel a lot of people, a lot of photographers and videographers would struggle with. I think that's a pretty big pain point. And I felt it myself, even with travel photography, like I'm so focused on getting the photo, and there's like that 5-minute window of we're stopping here. I need to get that photo. I got the photo, but then I'm like, I didn't remember anything else aside from me getting that photo, and then I'm looking at the photo on the screen.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find a balance between, right, you've got the photo, put the camera away, go, enjoy. And
yeah,
for me being more travel and surf and all that, and you said more commercial sort of cafes and things like that.
That was part of it, but I also did like street interviews for a page and like random bits and bobs. I did a company called Signorino Tiles for a while, so that was more commercial side, but jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah,
it's hard, and I think if anyone has some advice to how to manage that, I'll take it on board for sure.
Oh, totally. Anyone in the comment section, if you want to help each other out about how you manage that sort of thing.
But that's why I think that those meta glasses that you have is a good idea, because you can sort of film while watching. Like you don't have to think about it at all. You just, exactly where you're looking is where you're filming. So that's one way. But then to get professional, good quality results out of it, can't expect that out of a proper camera setup. So yeah, it's a tough one.
Totally. I wanted to ask, going back to your Instagram, every now and then you post like a personal brand video where you're filming yourself and talking about your setup. It's a little bit, sometimes you post quite a few videos like that. Sometimes you don't post too many. What's your relationship with and I feel like I say this word every podcast, and take a drink every time you hear me say personal brand, but how's that going for you?
That's a good question, because I feel like I've grown such an awesome audience on Instagram, and I don't know how I've done it, to be completely honest, but there's people like...
By being very talented and skilled and having a strong brand. That's it, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the photography is one thing and social media is a whole nother game. Like managing social media and the playing towards the algorithm is something completely different. And yeah, that sort of stuff is what I've never been doing before, but I've somehow managed to sort of do okay with it. But
yeah, in particular, you have one video that's sideways and it's got like 800,000 views. Or something like that, right? Yeah.
I had a friend ask me the other day, like, "Oh, so how did you do that?" I don't know. I just posted the clips. Like I went and I got these clips and they were really nice and I graded them and I thought, there's something here, I can do something with it, but I just don't know what. So I posted a few trial reels and the trial reels did all right. I think I posted 3 and they were about 100,000 views each. So then I'm like, all right, there's something here. So then I posted one just horizontal, just to see how it did, and that took off. And then there's no rhyme or reason to it. I don't know how I did it. I just posted it. It took me 5 minutes to make, and there's other things where I put so much effort into a video or a post, and then it won't do well. But coming back to it, the audience that I've built is so awesome. And like you said, it is to do with talent and hard work and dedication with taking photos. But also, you've got to give it to receive it. So I've been doing a lot of commenting on other people's posts, not just for the sake of it, but genuinely like, your photos are awesome. Like resharing it to my story or liking it or sharing it to someone or messaging them in person and say like, your recent post was awesome. So, and a friend who sort of taught me this is Ollie's Fuji. Shout out him. I don't know his surname actually, but we've chatted a lot, and I actually met up with him on my half lap last year. And he was giving me insight into how to build an audience and how to interact with an audience that can interact with you. And since I've started taking those steps on board, it's skyrocketed the page, because now I've got a community that I know will, if I post something, they'll come and support me. And that in itself helps the algorithm. But your original question was, how do I maintain a brand and things like that? I'm still trying to figure out this social media thing. So a lot of it is just like trial reels, just trial and error, just posting something. All right, that didn't work. I'm just going to post some photos again because I know the photos do well, or I believe these photos are good photos and they'll do well. And then I'll get sort of inspiration and I'll do it again. But I really want to do more talking to camera stuff. And that's where I think this partnership with Tamron and Blonde Robot will help, because I've got some things that I can talk about, and I can say, I shoot with a Tamron 17-70. This is my go-to lens, and this is why I love it. This is why I think it's a great option for people. So I want to do that more of that sort of stuff and have my face in the camera, because I think building a brand that knows your face rather than not, because previously, I'm just rambling on here, but previously people, I think...
This is what the podcast format's for. Ramble on, my friend. Keep going.
Yeah, I guess. What I found was, and it's great to be able to do this, is I've sort of been hiding behind my photos. So I'm posting the photos and I've got audience and I've got people that love it and they like the photos and they love the photos, but they don't know what I look like or they don't know me. So that's why I've been trying to post my face more, trying to post me speaking, trying to post more stories and things like that, because I think having a personal brand behind the photos is great. But a lot of people struggle because they just do that, and then their photos won't take off or won't get traction or won't do well, even though they're incredibly talented photographers. It's just playing the algorithm, really. So, because my partner, she does social media for some companies and for herself, and she has reels take off like it's crazy. She's so good at making reels, and I suck at making reels, apart from that one that you saw, which was a fluke. I think it's a fluke. But then she'll come to me and like, how do you get photo posts to do so well? I'm like, I don't know. I just do it, and I've got a good audience. But then I can't do the reels, make the reels do well. So social media is a big thing. I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm rambling on.
No, that does. That's super interesting, and I can totally relate to the idea of like putting effort into reels and some doing well and some not doing well. There's been reels that I've edited for this podcast that have taken off and not taken off. There's one clip where it's my mate Jerry, and he talked about taking a photo in India of a guy playing music, and he just took photos and he just built this connection with this musician whilst on a cruise, and I just found that to be really profound and beautiful, like just the way he described it. And the clip did well, fine, but not as well as others. Sometimes you can tell, like our most famous clip is Colin, one of our ambassadors, saying that he only shoots in JPEG.
Yeah, I saw that one, yeah.
And he doesn't care about RAW. And it's so gangster and authentic and honest.
Yeah.
And it popped off. It's on like 350,000 views or something approaching that now, which is sick.
It's all about posting polarizing opinions, I think.
There's a risk to that as well, though. I think with you, there's less of a risk, but from our perspective as a brand page, we have to be careful with how we post. So we love discussion, but we don't really like arguing per se. When there's a controversial or polarizing topic, we have to be wary of that because we don't want the guest getting hate, but we also don't want to get hate by association.
True, and you're a brand and you've got an image to uphold, so I see that side.
So there's limits there, but if you're just doing your own thing, you can target whatever audience you want and say whatever you want. That's totally fine.
All right, well, so let's try and manufacture a reel that we think will go viral. What's the...
Oh, okay. Do you have any hot takes or?
I think crop sensors are the way to go. I don't think you need full frame. And I genuinely mean that.
Really?
I genuinely mean that.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of people come in with where I work and they will say, I want this camera. So part of it is I'll give them a full frame option, I'll give them an APS-C option. And if you've got the money to spend on full frame, go for it. But a lot of these people, they are beginners and I don't think they need full frame, because APS-C will get you exactly where you want to be and will get you the photos that you want. And is that the goal, or do you want to be having a more expensive camera, or do you want to show off, things like that? If you're working commercial, I think that's completely fine. Obviously there's real good benefits to full frame, but if you're starting out, I don't think getting a full frame camera, unless you need it, is a good idea, in my opinion.
Could I bring a caveat to that, and that a full frame gives you options to grow and learn into the camera and expand your knowledge?
I could say that, but if you're a beginner, and like myself, I started on an XS10 and I learned how the camera worked up until a point where it bottlenecked me. And that was 4 years of taking photos not every single day, every single week, and learning the hell out of it. And that's when it bottlenecked me, because I wanted faster autofocus. Not a bigger sensor size, I just needed faster autofocus and better low light performance, better video capabilities, things like that. So I think skill matters more than gear in that aspect as a beginner. There's a controversial take.
That's going to be a fantastic reel, dude. This is going to stir the pot massively.
Oh no. That's
no,
right.
You're fine.
I'll be ready to defend myself.
I wanted to touch on as well your post-production process. You've got really, really strong colors and, as I've said, strong brand. How much time do you spend in post?
Too much.
Too much? What's too much?
Too much. What do you think is acceptable? I guess that's another question that photographers struggle with. Like, what's an acceptable amount of time to spend post-production? For me, I've got my presets now, but getting to presets where I know the colors that I want and I know the contrast that I want took a really long time. Like, only the start of this year, I got to a point where I know the contrast, the clarity, texture, all that sort of stuff that I want. So I've made presets now that I can go back to it and I've got those colors. But so now, maybe this year, getting a good photo that I like, getting a good set or a gallery of 10 photos, half an hour, which, is that too much? Is that too little? I don't know. But that's about what it takes for me, because I love playing around and see what the limits are of the file that I'm working with as well. Because if I can bump up the shadows, I might try and do that if the highlights are retained, if that makes sense. But before that, it was too much time. I'd sit in front of a computer for 2 hours, play with all the colors, play with the tone curve, play with everything, get to a point where I like, and then go, nope, I don't like that, and then restart. So with video, it's different, because I don't know too much about what I'm doing with the video, the color grading on DaVinci Resolve, because I'm still learning all that. So I've got some LUTs that I bought. So I just sort of pop that on and do some basic adjustments. And if it looks good, it looks good. I think I know how Lightroom works too well. So I know the capabilities of some of the files and some of the photos. So I know I'm trying to get the best result. But with the video side of things, like, if it looks good, it looks good. So I need to get that mindset with the photos as well.
I don't think there's necessarily a notion of too much time, but I think there's a lot of creatives, photographers, videographers. If you work in art in any capacity, there's the idea of like perfectionism that people have this battle with. So my personal rule was 85%.
Okay.
Because that last 15% to get it to perfect, is that another 20 hours? Is it another 40 hours editing?
Yeah.
Because I could be really neurotic and go frame by frame and making sure it's perfect. But if it's a commercial thing, does the product get showcased? Yes. Does the edit work well enough? Yes. Who's it for? Is it for people like me who care about these sorts of notions and nuances and particular stuff like that? Yes. Answer's actually mostly no. They just want to see something cool.
Yeah.
So just get to a stage that meets the brief, meets the purpose of the video, and then be willing to let it go once you get to that stage as well. That's my experience.
I'm going to take that on board and I'm going to run with that, which I think is good. Because I getting to 85%, I completely agree with you. Like the last 15%, especially for, depending on your audience, but for my audience, I think a lot of them aren't photographers, so they're not going to notice that last 15%. They're not going to notice that this orange hue is slightly a bit more to the yellows than it is to the orange. But I know some people will, but it's, I'm not shooting for that. I'm just shooting for the look and making sure it's artistic and things like that. So that's a good, I'm going to take that. Thanks.
And mind you, I should say that this depends on if you're doing something for yourself, you can spend as much time on it as you want. If you're doing something for a client or whatever it may be, that's when you probably have to just be real with yourself. Because especially when you love what you're doing, you can just pour hours into it, and then suddenly it's like, oh, it's 4 a.m. and I've been grinding on the edit for that long.
Yeah. It's easy to get lost in it all.
The one way that we like to wrap up the podcast is that the previous guest leaves a question for you, not really knowing who you are and all that sort of stuff. So the question for you today is, what's something that you like doing that's a bit uncomfortable?
In terms of photography or just in general?
It could be photography, it could be life. Is it the cold plunge? Is it, whatever it may be?
Something I like doing that be a bit uncomfortable. Talking to strangers. And this is one thing that I've been trying to hype myself up to do, because I think in my surf photography journey, there's a progression that I want to get to, is where I can take the photos that I'm doing, go up to the surfer and say, hey, I took this photo of you. Do you mind if I share it, or can I get your reaction to it, or something like that? Because I think that would make for really good videos and natural interaction and things like that. And that brings back that personal personality that I'm trying to take away. So that comes full circle. So I've been toying with the idea of going up to a surfer who's about to run into the water and say, hey, can I shoot you for the afternoon, or can I shoot you for the 20 minutes or whatever, and I'll get your Instagram, or I'll print a photo out, get a photo printer or something. And I've sort of tried it before, and I've just stumbled over my words, and they've looked at me with a camera and think, what the hell are you doing? No, I don't want that, because they're all beginners, or they don't have confidence in themselves, and people are people. There's a multitude of reasons, but yeah, just getting better at talking to strangers and articulating myself in a way that I can articulate in a way that I can come across as genuine and not a creepy photographer trying to take photos of people.
If you just act like yourself and you've been like how you are in this chat with me today, I think you'll be totally fine.
And I'm hoping, because I've been getting recognized a bit in Noosa. I'll be going out shooting and people are like, oh, you're that guy from Instagram taking photos. And that's been really weird, because I've never been recognized like that in my life before. But I think if I can get to a point where I can start doing these things and then they go, oh yeah, I saw you on Instagram, that'll make it easier just for them to say yes. So that's a goal I'm working towards.
Isn't it funny being recognized? I sometimes when I've described what I do and people are like, is it a little bit like that guy who takes the JPEG photos? I'm like, it's exactly that guy. I'm actually in that reel. Thanks for noticing and remembering me, but whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But it also feels really weird at the same time, because you're like, it's just that personal insecurity, like I don't feel like I'm at a level where I should be getting recognized for that sort of stuff. But everyone's got their things, everyone's got their hurdles, and you can do it.
It's all you, man. You got this. Well, Werner, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I had no idea the conversation was going to go in the directions that it did, but I found this super interesting and fascinating. And again, like I said at the top of the pod, we've been back and forth on Instagram quite a bit and, helping you out. And it's really good to chat in person, well, virtually in person, and
Yeah.
just make this connection stronger. And I can't wait to see what else you get up to.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm super happy to be able to tell people that Tamron's a good brand, because it is a good brand. So I'm really excited for the future and for even being considered to be on this. Like it's my first podcast ever. I think you might get a lot of that, but yeah. So if I've been stumbling over my words and I've been acting nervous, it's probably because I am. So
Don't worry about it. You're all good. I think this is going to resonate with a lot of people. So thanks again.
I hope so. And we've got some polarizing opinions in there. So let's
I know,
see
right?
how we can
Let's
do.
hope that reel goes does well.
Let's fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't look like too much of a, yeah. Anyway.
If you want to find out what Werner asks next week's guest, tune in to find out, like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching. Take care, guys.